Hey guys, what is up? Welcome back to Good Vibes, Good Life, another podcast where you can talk about anything and everything. It is your host, Jen, here back with another episode. So, for today's episode, as you can see, I am in the comfort of my own bedroom. I'm not going to say that it is going to be the last episode because it's not. There are going to be some episodes where I bring a guest on to the podcast, but I want this channel to be more of a life journey channel. You know what I mean? Where it's like, it's still going to be good vibes, good life, because you can't have a good life if you don't have good vibes, right? Right. My mindset creating this whole podcast channel, I've said it before, but I gained most of my subscribers when I used to do the weed content. If you know, you know. But if you guys do want to see more weed content, make sure you go ahead and check out my second YouTube channel called The Mind of Jen. And that is a little bit more uncensored compared to this main channel, I guess you would say. Before we get started on what I'm going to be talking to you guys about, I just want to give a big shout out to the person that saw me in Old Town a couple months back and recognized me from the podcast. Honestly, that was the first time I have ever been recognized in public, and it was honestly a very crazy feeling. And honestly, I just want to say that I'm blessed to even be able to bring others onto this podcast in order for them to share their story and as well spread awareness on, personal things that people deal with on a daily basis. Shout out to you. I didn't get your name, but honestly, I just want to say I don't know what to say. Back to what I wanted to talk to you guys about is my testimony. A lot of you guys are gonna be like, "What? What? What?" Honestly, I don't know how to get into this because I feel like there's so much leading up. But I guess I'll start from here. So, growing up, I didn't grow up in a household where we really spoke about religion. I was baptized at the age of 5, as well as my younger brother. Growing up, honestly, I didn't even know that faith was a thing. I didn't even know that praying was a thing. I just wasn't so much aware of who God was. A couple years back, actually, one of my really good friends, we would talk a lot about God, and I feel like that's when God was truly introduced to me, where I was like, okay, okay, like this seems very interesting. Honestly, I was very inspired with the knowledge that he had on God, right? And so that's when I had decided to purchase my first Bible. He ended up going back to where he lived, and the topic of God was something that I was still getting close to, and at this time, but I believed in the evil eye. I believed in, when someone gives you an evil eye, to rub an egg around your head, But with time, I learned to understand that that's not something that I believe in. That's not something that I believe in. That's not something that I personally want to believe in. At this time, I was transitioning to a new job, which had to do with mental health. I wouldn't necessarily say it's the best that I've ever been, but it was the best that I had ever been up to that moment. My mental health was so good, and I was doing good in life. I was on my shit, and I had the word of God, and like I said, I'd go throughout my day, and I was just gaining a lot of wisdom, just by reading the Bible. I want to say a couple months after, that's when I started the podcast. I didn't know where I really wanted to take this podcast until some way, somehow, it just turned into a mental health podcast, and I took it. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna just roll with this because I feel like this is something that is not talked about enough. Because genuinely, if your mental health is not okay, you are not okay. And I will always stand by that, and I will always focus on my mental health, because if my mental health is not right, everything in my life is not right. Eventually, that job ended up taking a very negative toll on my mental health. Like, I was unemployed for 2 months, and for those of you that know, I live with my parents. I do help my parents out with their bills and stuff. Those 2 months, I feel like it made me appreciate my parents 1,000 times more, because they were so helpful. They were so helpful to me, and they would just always be like, hey, if you need anything, let me know. And especially when it came to money. And I'm the type of person that if I'm struggling, I will not ask anyone for help unless I really need it, to the point where I don't know what to do. Like, I don't have any way of making income. Thankfully, at that time, I did have my side hustle. I had quit my job and I was unemployed for 2 months. And those 2 months, I feel like those 2 months, up until that point, were the months that I was closest to God. Where I would sit at this desk every day, I would open my Bible, and it would be like 12 in the morning. I'd be high as shit reading the Bible, taking his wisdom in and just praying that things would get better. Going from a stable place in your life to going to somewhere where you don't even know where you're going, where you feel so lost, reading God's word at this time, although I was not stable, it was helping me maintain. I ended up getting a little part time at FedEx. I worked there for I think like 2 to 3 months, if I'm not mistaken. I'd worked the night shift, and I guess you would say I started healing again, where I would spend every day in the backyard, always high as shit, just literally laying on the maca. Honestly, too, like it was the time where I was most attached to nature. I do nothing but work. I come home, I sleep because I'm doing night shift, and then basically it's just a repeated cycle. I'm hanging out with my cousins, which it was honestly the best summer that I could say that I had because I had them. And they're just very helpful, a lot like mentally and just emotionally, they were always there for me, right? And they still are to this day. To this day. One day I decided to make a video, right? And I will put a screenshot of the video that I made that day right here. Yes, this video. So this video, this day actually, this day I had gotten home. So this day I had gotten home, and in my mind I was like, like I'm so tired, like I'm gonna smoke, make a little video talking about something inspirational. So I get home, I film that little video, and I come inside the house, right? And when I come inside the house, like I'm still recording and I sit down. I remember too, I sat down on this floor. Like I sat down on this floor and I propped up my camera on the chair that I am sitting on right at this moment. And mind you, my room is a fucking mess. Like my room is like sorry, excuse my language, but my room is just a mess. Like I have clothes everywhere. Like my bed is all messed up. Like it's just my room is so dirty. Like I was just going through it. And so I sit down and I try to start like talking, right? And all of a sudden I just start thinking about everything that has happened, and to be quite honest with you guys, I was never like this. If you guys know me from when I was like 18, 19, 20, like you guys know that I'm completely different than what I was before. And honestly, at this time, I didn't heal from the things that I had experienced in those 3 years. And so I just remember sitting down and I couldn't get my words out. And then all of a sudden, I just feel a bunch of emotions like come over me, and I start crying and I start bawling my eyes out. I start asking for forgiveness. I start repenting and I start praying for everyone, and I start asking for forgiveness for everyone. And that was the first time that I had ever experienced God. And like just thinking about it, it makes me emotional. It does make me emotional because it's like, it's a very beautiful feeling, but it's also being able to repent and being able to ask for forgiveness and understanding that God does forgive. It was a very overwhelming feeling. Like, I honestly, it's not something that I can explain. It's not something that I can really explain to you guys because you guys would have to experience it. It was a lot of built up emotions. It was a lot of memories, a lot of pain, a lot of guilt, a lot of shame, just a lot of frustration, a lot of resentment that I felt come off of me. Ever since that day, too, like nothing ever convinced me that God was not real. After that day, I maintained a good relationship, right? And then by the grace of God, I ended up finding a job. I was there up until 3 months ago when I ended up breaking my ankle. For those of you that know, yeah, I broke my ankle, unfortunately. Unfortunately, before I broke my ankle, I was just on go. I was on go. I wouldn't take a break. I would go to work, do overtime. I just wasn't having enough time for God, and I didn't recognize it. And one day, I had a little situation, because no parent is perfect, no home can be perfect, right? I don't really get along with my pops that much, so we tend to bump heads a lot. I was looking to leave here where I live right now. I took the first opportunity that opened up. I ran with it. And so the day that I was going to go get some moving boxes, that day I was feeling really overwhelmed. I was feeling really overwhelmed. I was feeling very unsure. I was feeling just very not wanting to do it, right? Not wanting to leave here. And so I was just too caught up in my head. And as I'm going outside, I ended up twisting one ankle, and then I twist the other ankle. And my right ankle ended up literally breaking. I was honestly so mad. Like in the moment, I was just like, "Ugh, like I'm so stupid. Like how can I not see where I was going? Like, you know what I mean?" But because I was too much in my head and I wasn't present, obviously that ended up happening. And so that ends up happening, and I try to walk, and I'm like, no, like this shit hurts. Within 5 minutes, like my ankle was so swollen and purple, where I was like, no, mom, like I gotta go to the hospital right now. Like I gotta go, like like I think this shit's broken right now, right? And so she ended up taking me to the hospital, and they were like, yep, like your ankle's broken. And I was like, great, fuck, like it takes a minute for a bone to heal. I believe it takes 2 to 3 months for your bone to heal. And then because you have no mobility, like you have to do physical therapy after, right? It happened, like I can't go back, like it's broken, like this shit is out of my control. The first week, it made me realize a lot. The reason why this happened was because, like, it's not the right time for you to just leave, right? And so the more I sat and I thought about it, God started coming back into my life, and I started realizing, okay, He made this happen because He needed to make me realize that I need to take things slow and be more present. I tend to think a lot. Like, I think a lot. Like if I'm ever just quiet, it's either because I'm thinking or I'm observing. That moment I realized, I was like, damn, like I hadn't been present with myself or God in like the last couple of months. The first week, like it was cool because I was like, okay, like I'm getting so many ideas, like okay, like I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that. As time goes on, like as much as I love my family, when you're trying to heal in the same place that you got hurt, it is super hard. And I've made a video about this. If you guys want to check it out on my other channel, you guys can. But it's very hard to keep yourself sane, especially when you're being tested. Once it got to the second week, I was very frustrated mentally and emotionally. And so by that third week, I was already having suicidal thoughts. I know how to handle it. When I started thinking about stuff like that again, I was like, okay, like there's definitely something going on. Like honestly, it was just I was so depressed. Like I got so depressed where I got so depressed where I wouldn't leave my room. Like some days I wouldn't even shower. Some days I wouldn't even brush my teeth. And my mom would be like, I love my mom because she was there for me like throughout everything. So I'm very appreciative of her, and she'd be like, "Oh, like you don't want to go get ice cream, like you don't want to go here, you don't want to go," and I'm like, "No, like I'm okay," like and honestly, like think about it now, like I'm really mad at myself because I was feeling like shit and I would yell at her. Like I'd yell at her and she'd be like, "Don't yell at me. Like I'm just trying to make you feel better." And and then that happened, and is she said that to me, and it made me feel like shit. It made me feel like shit because I'm like, damn, like she's right. Like she's over here helping me, trying to make me feel better, and I'm just being a bitch. And so at this point is when I realized that even though I had people around me, this is the most alone that I've ever felt consciously. Some of you guys will understand what I'm talking about when I say that. It got to the point where I hated this room. Bro, I sleep in here. I literally eat in here, and like, not to mention my anxiety had gotten so bad. Freaking binge eat. Like, I'd yell and I'd ask my brother, like, "Hey, can you go get me a snack? Like, can you get me a snack?" Like, and like, I'm sure he got fucking annoyed. I was just, scrolling through my feed, and occasionally, like, I do have a lot of like Bible verses, like, on my phone and stuff, like on social media, on Instagram, like it'll pop up, like, on TikTok as well. Like, I'll get a bunch of like prayer videos. And so I start getting back into the word of God. And I start watching more videos, and I start watching pastors preach. I start feeling some type of hope again. I feel like during that first month, like, I just felt really hopeless, and I just, like, God wasn't even in my mind. Like, I understand that, okay, I understand the concept that God was trying to tell me something, show me something, but I just wasn't budging because I was so depressed. Like, I wasn't even putting the effort to get ready for the day. And although I would watch those videos, it wasn't, and this is, I feel like this sounds kind of fucked up, but it wasn't enough to actually get me out of bed. The times that I would get up and go take a shower, like, those were the times that I would put my worship music, and I would literally just sit. This kind of sounds weird, but I would literally just sit in the shower and literally just like listening to worship music and just singing and just praising God. Just praising God and just praying to God, and asking him to give me the strength and to give me the ability to overcome the depression, the anxiety, the suicidal thoughts that I was having. One day my cousin texted me and she's like, "Hey, our cousin's in the hospital, she's about to give birth. Like, do you want to go see her before, they induce her to have the baby?" I was like, "Fuck yeah." I was like, "Hell yeah." Like, I'd love to go see my cousin. With my ankle, I had to go get a CT scan because the orthopedic wasn't sure if my other bone was also broken. So I had to get a CT scan around my whole ankle. Thankfully, it was not broken, so I did not need surgery. Prior to that appointment, like, I was just so scared because, for those of you guys that know, like, I am a diabetic. My immune system isn't the best. I was just praying to God that my bone was broken, that I didn't need surgery, cuz that shit, man. Bro, if I would have needed surgery, like, right now, I'd probably still be in a cast. That day my older brother had helped me get outside, right? Because I had to stand outside to wait for my cousin. And so I'm standing there and I'm having a conversation with him, and he starts telling me like he just starts telling me like, "Damn, sis, like I've never seen you this bad before." Cuz my sibling, he is like my brother, he is aware, of just like, my depression, my anxiety, my past suicidal ideations and stuff. So he just, I guess you would say he gave me like, I guess you would say he gave me an intervention where he was like, "I'm seeing you give up, and I don't like that." Really, like, when he said that, like, I feel like something clicked in me where I was like, "Damn, like, you're right." Like, I feel like I'm giving up on myself. Maybe I'm not aware of it yet or recognizing it, but you telling me this, bitch, I'm becoming aware. And so he said that to me, and I'm not gonna lie, it made me feel some type of way because I'm like, "Damn, maybe you are right. Maybe I am giving up. Like, I feel like you're giving up on yourself. Like, honestly, if I were you, like, and I had all this free time on my hands, like, I'd find different ways to literally make money and literally do something that's going to benefit you for the long run." The first 2 days, I just didn't think, and I was just like, "You know what, whatever, I'm gonna just, do what I do," right? I started brainstorming, and I was like, what could I do, right? And so I go on social media and I start watching like a bunch of videos. I just start watching a bunch of videos of like businesses that I could do, what I need in order to have a business, this and that, right? And so I do have a little bit of business background. For those of you that know me, I do have a little bit of business back, not educationally. A while back, I did want to start a clothing brand. I just never ended up doing it. I don't know why I never ended up doing it, but I just never ended up doing it. Just a little disclaimer, I will be dropping soon, so please stay tuned for that. So I ended up coming up with a business plan, and I ended up talking to some investors, and so now Worldly Excluded is an official clothing brand. My Instagram is going to be linked down below if you guys want to stay tuned for that. My whole thought process throughout what I was doing was always keeping God in front of everything, keeping God first. As fucked up as this may sound, we do not need people to make us feel fulfilled the way that God fulfills us. I can tell you, God will humble you. He will. He will take everything from you to where you feel like you are nothing. I am nothing without God, because without God, I am nothing. He is everything. Can I emphasize? Please, please. Worldly excluded has a lot to do with being excluded from the world. You know, being excluded from the world and following God. I'm excluding myself. I'm excluding myself from a world that does not know God. But it's a testimony. Take whatever you want from this. Like I said, I respect everyone's beliefs. I'm not trying to push religion onto nobody. This is just my testimony. No one will ever try to convince me that God is not real. I'm doing a lot better, focused on myself, and I'm focused on my goals, and I'm focused on my dreams. I'm focused in the present time. This is the end of the video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Again and again, I always appreciate every single one of you guys for watching. And it's always love from this side of the camera. And again, thank you guys so much for watching. And don't forget, peace, love, and kindness. If you guys want to watch more videos, make sure you go ahead and check out The Mind of Jen. Make sure you guys follow Worldly Excluded on Instagram to see the new drop, because I do feel that this first drop is going to be very impactful the Hispanic community out there. And if you would like to come and share your testimony on the podcast, make sure you go ahead and DM me and we will make something happen. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye. Love you.